Has your relationship lost its fire and its passion? The thrill is gone. No bueno, Light Fam. No bueno. What is up? It is David, your spiritual awakening coach, here to help you through your spiritual awakening. We're going to dive into 4 signs of a sex-starved relationship and what you can do about it to put that spark back into your relationship. The first sign of a sex-starved relationship is pretty obvious: decreased or infrequent sexual activity. Now, this is typically caused to one or both partners decreasing their initiation of sex. So was your partner always initiating sex and now they're not initiating nearly as often as before? Or maybe it's the reverse, where they are initiating, but your desire has drastically decreased. Well, is that relationship still important to you, but it's just lost its spark? Well, one of the best things that you can do is communicate. Communication. When you are not communicating, you are repressing energy. What do we say about energy here at Lightways all the time? Energy hates to be trapped. So release that trapped and repressed energy by speaking and communicating what you are thinking. Even if you're worried about how that conversation might be received, because not communicating is already negatively affecting that relationship just as much as the potential of an argument over an uncomfortable subject. And that negative impact on the relationship is evidenced by the decrease in sexual activity, not to mention the bond of the relationship. So express your needs and communicate. It can be saying something as simple as, hey, I've noticed we haven't been as intimate as before. Is there something heavy on your mind that you'd like to share? You can talk to me about anything. I'm holding a safe space of non-judgment for you. What's on your mind? You would be surprised how sexually aroused your partner becomes when they see that you actually listen, you actually care, and you're actually being supportive. Oftentimes in a very hectic type of relationship where it can seem like the kids, the household finances, each other's careers are more of a priority, it can seem to your partner like they're no longer as high on your priority list as they once were. Again, you would be amazed at how sexually aroused they become when they see that you've actually taken time out of that hectic schedule to just listen to them and to just hear them. Everybody wants to be heard, and that can be very sexually arousing. Or are you the one with the decreased sexual desire? If the relationship is important to you, again, put the kids and the career on the side burner just for a minute. Have some me time, have some still time to go within and ask your heart why your sexual desire for your partner has decreased. The heart always knows, and it might be something as simple as you've just been hectically prioritizing other things. Maybe you're stuck in wounded masculine energy. Well, in that case, put in the time management to schedule your partner in. This is something that has to be done. Scheduling time for your partner is not going to schedule itself. You've got to schedule time with your partner to save the relationship. Otherwise, that bond is just going to continue to weaken. Or maybe your heart says you still love the person, you're just no longer in love with the person. That's a little bit more complicated, but communication is still the key. Express your feelings to your partner and then have an amicable conversation about the best way forward for all parties involved. The second sign of a sex-starved relationship is lack of communication. Now, this would seem very obvious based on everything that we've been discussing so far, but lack of communication is not just discussing why the sex has decreased, but also discussing sexual desires, sexual preferences, fantasies, and even concerns. Not communicating can pretty quickly turn into a bunch of unmet and repressed needs. There's that word repressed again. Remember, energy hates to be trapped. If your partner has a bunch of unmet and repressed needs, those repressed needs are going to try to find a way to get met outside of the relationship, or maybe even destructive or harmful ways. So you don't want your partner walking around out there trying to figure out how to bring their repressed fantasies to fruition, which don't include you because there's no communication. So communicate, communicate, communicate. Now, before we get on to the third sign of a sex-starved relationship, if you're finding value in the content, please click the subscribe button. If you know someone that is in a sex-starved relationship, please share this video with them. It may give them the inspiration that they need to put in the action to save their relationship. Now on to the third sign of a sex-starved relationship. The third sign of a sex-starved relationship are high levels of frustration, anger, and resentment. Do you notice that you fly off the handle at the tiniest of things? Oftentimes, when someone irrationally reacts with anger and frustration where the situation doesn't call for that, there's an old joke that goes around where someone will say, man, that person just needs to get laid. Would you get laid already? Geez. There's a reason for this. A lack of sex can lead to a high level of frustration and resentment. A lack of sex also leads to a feeling of rejection that starts to compound over time. So over time, you get this pent up energy of rejection, frustration, and resentment that just becomes a powder keg that is waiting to explode. There's that theme of trapped energy again. A healthy sexual relationship, studies have shown, has the same benefits as going to the gym. So we know how great the gym is for releasing pent-up trapped energy. The fourth sign of a sexually starved relationship is emotional and physical distance. This is where you feel completely disconnected to the person when they could literally be standing right next to you and you just don't feel that connection anymore. So if those signs of affection outside of sex, such as touching, kissing, caressing the person's face, running your fingers through their hair, have now become non-existent when they once were very frequent, this is definitely a sign of a sex-starved relationship. And when this begins to happen, it can be very easy to just drift apart or grow apart, as they say. And that emotional bond between you two begins to weaken to the point to where you just feel like roommates or friends. So if the relationship is important to you, then schedule quality date time, a time where you two can just be present with one another, open, honest, and vulnerable in a safe and non-judgmental space. Put away the cell phones and the social media apps and spend that quality time communicating and connecting with one another. It could be a date night, some time out in nature, or just a lazy Sunday in bed. But when you connect and communicate, you'll be able to turn that sex-starved relationship into a sexually fulfilled relationship. I love you guys. Namaste.